Well, first at 4, WSAV, your local election headquarters. Primary election day in Georgia just one day away. And voters are going to choose the two candidates who will face off in November for the Georgia governor spot. Republican candidates include Attorney General Chris Carr, Clark Dean, Rick Jackson, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, Greg Kirkpatrick, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, Thomas Williams, and Ken Yasgur. Over on the Democratic side, there's former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, Olu Brown, Amanda Duffy, former Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan, former State Senator Jason Estevez, State Representative Derek Jackson, and Michael Thurmond.
Incumbent Democratic U.S. Senator Jon Ossoff's seat is also on the ballot. He will face a Republican primary winner in November. One of the candidates is U.S. Representative Buddy Carter, who was born and raised in the 1st District.
Now, Georgia election officials say they're seeing record turnout already for this year's primary election. More than 1 million people casting their ballot. That works out to just under 14% of all active voters. Now in Chatham County, turnout about 11%, 23,000 ballots cast, more than twice as many Democratic ballots as Republican ones. More than 500 nonpartisan ballots were also cast.
Meanwhile, early voting in Bullock County was 9%. Bryan and Liberty County coming in at about 14% turnout. And in McIntosh County, nearly 20% of people there voting early.
Georgia voters say jobs, housing, affordability, and health care costs are those key campaign issues they will consider this election.
Yeah, political experts say that some of the races could head to a runoff because candidates must receive more than 50% of the vote to win outright.
There are quite a few races that have large primary fields, so 4 or 5 or even more candidates. It's pretty hard to get 50% plus one when there are 3 or 4 pretty serious candidates. So I expect in the Republican gubernatorial race, quite likely to go to a runoff, probably the Republican Senate race as well, and then there are some others that are likely to go to a runoff next month as well.
Now, candidates across Georgia making that final push to voters ahead of Tuesday's primary election. 2 Republican candidates spent the day in Savannah. They were rallying supporters and sharpening their message on issues ranging from the economy to public safety. Now, Congressman Buddy Carter, who's running for U.S. Senate, focused heavily on aligning himself with President Donald Trump and conservative priorities during this final push. He also leaned on his years of political experience, saying it sets him apart in a crowded field. At the same time, Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr, who's running for governor, centered his campaign message around affordability, economic growth, and public safety. Carr also argued that Republicans need to appeal to more than just their base.
The only way you win in November in Georgia in 2026 is to be able to appeal to the ever-growing independent voter in this state. And they care about jobs, safety, education, affordability.
We need someone in the United States Senate who's going to support President Trump and his America First policies. And that's what I've done in the House, and that's what I'm going to do in the Senate.
Candidates now turning their attention to turnout efforts as voters prepare to head to the polls tomorrow.
One of the Democratic candidates for governor in Georgia making a stop to meet and greet voters in Savannah today. Former State Senator Jason Estevez hosted a breakfast campaign event. He answered questions about issues ranging from health care to housing costs. Estevez says that his campaign is focused on lowering the cost of living for Georgians and creating what he calls a new generation of leadership. Today, he also called for greater accountability for data centers and large corporations receiving tax incentives. He says more support should go toward small businesses and working families.
Represent a new generation of leadership, one that is laser focused on delivering results, making sure that we address issues that have been plaguing this state for a generation. Healthcare, economic opportunity, and investing in education so that our children have more opportunities than what we've had.
Another Democratic gubernatorial candidate making her stop in the hostess city. That's former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. She continued her Our Rights, Our Future tour in Savannah on Saturday at the Front Porch Improv on Victory Drive. She talked with voters, took questions from them as well. Bottoms noticed that coastal Georgia is an important piece in the race to be Georgia's next governor. Bottoms also noted the current national events like that ongoing battle over redistricting highlights the importance of showing up and voting in each and every election.
Well, if you're planning to vote tomorrow, you must vote at your designated polling place, which will be open from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. Now, if you are in line by 7 p.m., you will still be allowed to vote. In order to vote, you need to make sure that you're registered, of course, have a valid photo ID like a driver's license or passport, and update your information if you have moved. Now, if you go to a polling place and you have not taken care of any of these steps, you can request a provisional ballot. Again, it's called a provisional ballot. Your vote will count as long as you fix the eligibility issues within 3 days after Election Day.
Now, if you need a ride to your polling location, the Savannah branch of the NAACP can help. They're offering free rides to polling places for those who need them. You can call their office at the number on your screen, 912-233-4161 until 5 o'clock tonight to pre-arrange a pickup, or you can call between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. on Tuesday, of course, tomorrow, which is Election Day. And for more information about tomorrow's elections, as well as those November midterms and much more, just go to WSAV.com/electionhq.
Now to other news that you need to know about. Following that South Carolina Supreme Court decision to overturn the murder convictions of Alex Murdaugh, his defense team spoke to the press today.
Now, they addressed a variety of things, including statements made by the state's Attorney General over the weekend. Now, he said, South Carolina's Attorney General Alan Wilson says the death penalty is an option for Murdaugh's new trial. In an interview with NBC's Dateline on Friday, Attorney General Alan Wilson said the prosecution back to square one, meaning all legal options are on the table, including the death penalty. Now, Murdaugh's attorneys say he won't take a deal under any circumstance.
Alex Murdaugh is firing back now at Becky Hill, the former Colleton County Clerk of Court. His lawyers today at a press briefing announced that he is seeking punitive damages and attorney fees from the trial. The suit claims that, quote, Mr. Murdaugh brings this action to hold Ms. Hill accountable for her wrongful conduct. The civil suit filed today by Murdaugh's team says Ms. Hill violated Mr. Murdaugh's constitutional right to a fair trial, and as a result of Ms. Hill's actions, Mr. Murdaugh suffered monetary damages of $600,000. You can read the full lawsuit on our website, WSAV.com. While Hill denied any jury tampering during the appeals hearing, well, she resigned from office in March 2024. That is a year after the verdict. Hill was later arrested, charged with perjury, obstruction of justice, and 2 counts of misconduct in office.
And then on December 8th, 2025, Hill pleaded guilty to those charges. She got a sentence of probation, 100 hours of community service, and was ordered to pay restitution. She did admit also she plagiarized parts of her book, which was then taken off the shelves. She paid back any royalties that she happened to receive.
And we are staying in the Low Country now. Sunday afternoon, the Burton Fire District responded to a call about a boat on fire on a property there. So the vessel was located in the backyard of a home on Castle Rock Road, completely taken over by flames when fire crews arrived. We're told heat did damage the shed and a mobile home as firefighters worked to contain the blaze. No injuries were reported. Burning trash is believed to be the culprit.
And in Glynn County, 2 men involved in a deadly shooting back in 2024 have now been sentenced to life in prison. 53-year-old James Roberts and 35-year-old Sheldon Wright were found guilty of malice murder, felony murder, and aggravated assault in connection to the death of 35-year-old Bobby Harris. Authorities say Roberts believed Harris was responsible for shooting him 6 months earlier. They say Roberts then later brought Wright to Brunswick to help carry out what they called street justice by killing Harris on October 12, 2024. Harris was walking home near 9th Street and Pine Street when investigators say Wright shot him in the back of both knees and in the chest, killing him. Now, both Roberts and Wright have been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. And on Tybee Island, a man's been arrested after reported armed kidnapping over the weekend. Police say a caller reported Hanif Brown had a gun and was holding the caller's girlfriend against her will. Investigators say another victim later came forward saying Brown also threatened them with that weapon. Police say Brown was later found at a gas station with the woman and his 6-year-old child inside the car next to a loaded gun. Brown now faces several charges, including kidnapping and aggravated assault. His child was taken into protective custody.